you get that?
Yes.
You got it. I thought I was rehearsing.
No, it's very good. The first time it's always good.
Yeah, that's great. Very, very nice.
It's good.
Oh my God, I thought I was rehearsing.
Ken's story is not going away, it's just got bigger and bigger. The Niger Delta is one of the worst environmental catastrophes in human history. I conducted that interview nearly 25 years ago, hours before Ken took his last flight from London to Nigeria, never to return. I had no idea Ken and the other 8 would be murdered within 18 months. Part of the interview was shown on British television the day after the Ogoni 9 were murdered.
This is Africa. Kenule Saro-Wiwa, popularly known as Ken Saro-Wiwa, was born on the 10th of October 1941 in Bori, southern Nigeria. He was a Nigerian writer, environmental activist, and leader of the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, Mossop. His life and legacy are deeply intertwined with his tireless advocacy for the rights of the Ogoni people and his outspoken criticism of the Nigerian government and multinational oil companies operating in the Niger Delta region. Ken Saro-Wiwa was born into the Ogoni ethnic group, a marginalized minority in Nigeria, and grew up in the Niger Delta region. He received his early education at various schools in Nigeria before studying English at the University of Ibadan, where he became involved in student activism and literary pursuits. Saro-Wiwa's literary career began in the 1960s and flourished in the following decades. He wrote numerous plays, novels, and essays that shed light on the social and political issues facing Nigeria, particularly the exploitation of the Niger Delta by multinational oil corporations. His works, including Soza Boy, which was published in 1985, and Bassi and Company, published in 1987, earned him critical acclaim and established him as one of Nigeria's leading writers. In the 1990s, Saro-Wiwa emerged as a prominent environmental activist, leading the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, Mossop, in their struggle against the environmental degradation caused by oil extraction in Ogoniland. He highlighted the devastating impact of oil spills, gas flaring, and deforestation on the Ogoni people's land, livelihoods, and health, and called for greater environmental protection and compensation from the Nigerian government and oil companies. Saro-Wiwa's activism brought international attention to the plight of the Ogoni people and garnered support from environmental and human rights organizations around the world. He traveled extensively, speaking at conferences and meetings to raise awareness about the environmental and social injustices facing his community. Saro-Wiwa's activism put him on a collision course with the Nigerian military government and multinational oil companies who viewed him as a threat to their interests in the Niger Delta. In 1994, he was arrested by the Nigerian military regime on trumped-up charges of incitement to murder in connection with the deaths of 4 Ogoni chiefs. Despite widespread condemnation from the international community and calls for his release, Saro-Wiwa was subjected to a sham trial and sentenced to death. On the 10th of November 1995, Saro-Wiwa and 8 other Ogoni activists, known as the Ogoni Nine, were executed by hanging by the Nigerian government. Their deaths sparked outrage and condemnation worldwide, leading to Nigeria's suspension from the Commonwealth and the imposition of sanctions by several countries. Ken Saro-Wiwa's legacy as a writer, activist, and martyr for the Ogoni cause continues to inspire generations of Nigerians and activists around the world. His courage, integrity, and unwavering commitment to justice have earned him a place among the most influential figures in Nigeria's history. In the years following his death, Saro-Wiwa's writings and activism have continued to resonate, fueling ongoing efforts to hold multinational corporations accountable for their actions in the Niger Delta and to fight for environmental justice and indigenous rights. His life and sacrifice serve as a reminder of the power of individuals to challenge injustice and effect change, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Ken Saro-Wiwa's enduring legacy lives on through the work of organizations like the Movement for the Survival of the Ogoni People, which continues to advocate for the rights of the Ogoni people and the protection of the environment. His words and actions remind us of the importance of speaking truth to power and standing up for what is right, no matter the cost.
Zina.
Would you want me to get it?
Yeah. Now, you cannot have democracy without the protection of minority rights. For any society to be properly governed, to have good government also, there must be accountability. What is happening in Nigeria is robbery, is brigandage, it's not government. And it is the responsibility of writers like myself and other well-meaning people to fight it. And I believe that the international community is in a much better position to listen now, since the end of the Cold War has meant that we must face issues differently from what we used to do in the past. Blowouts, oil blowouts, spillages, oil slicks, and general pollution accompany the search for oil. This is usual, but in most cases, the oil companies have an obligation to ensure that these things do not happen, or that where they do happen, they do not disrupt life a great deal. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, Shell, which has prospected for oil in Ogoni country for the past 33 years, has not done any of these things. It uses outdated equipment in Ogoni. As a result of that, we've had a major blowout in 1970. The land that was destroyed at that time remains in that state, is totally unusable up to this moment. We now have a devastated environment in the Delta among the ethnic minorities. I leave for Nigeria tomorrow, and the Ogoni people are now fully mobilized to demand their rights of the government of Nigeria. In 1990, in the summer of 1990, they sent a Bill of Rights to the federal government and to the people of the country, demanding certain things, particularly autonomy, the freedom to administer themselves, the freedom to use their resources for their own good, the freedom to control their environment and to stop the devastation of the environment by Shell, where colonialism, domestic colonialism has taken away all the rights of the people who live on oil-bearing land. It's most unusual, and it's not right, because people have lost farmlands so that oil may be found. Well, what are you going to give back to the people? Oh, did you